Hello, hey guys. This is going to be my Season 2 Survival Hunter PvP guide. Wow. So, for anyone that don't know who I am, I was going to give myself some sort of credibility to know why you would want to listen to me, teehee. Currently the highest Survival Hunter in 3s. I guess I have number 1, 2, and 3, and 4 in 2s at the moment. I'm number 1 and number 2 on Survival and Shuffle. I'm the highest Survival Blitzer. And I'm also the number 1 highest 2s player of all time. Wow. So anyways, let's get into it. So talents. I'm kind of gonna go over everything very in depth. So if you wanna skip ahead, you can feel free to do so. I just like to ramble. Anyways, here we have natural mending. It's just a whenever you spend your focus, it reduces the CD of your acceleration, which is your heal ability, and also heals your pet for 100%. Then next up you have disengage, removes you from movement impairing effects. So this is like roots and slows, pretty good. I'm gonna take it. And you also get some movement speed increase. Over here you get more max HP, and also your acceleration heals you for a little bit more over time. Then over here we have damage reduction from AoE effects, which is like, it's a pretty okay effect, but you have better options down the line, so you're not really gonna take this as a default. Then over here you have death blow, which is kill command has a chance to make it so your kill shot becomes available on everyone, which is pretty decent, so you're gonna take it. Over here you have wilderness medicine, which is just natural mending now is 50% better, which is this effect. And also it makes it so your mend pet now heals for a little bit more and has a chance to dispel effects. Now, the problem with this is the fact that mend pet in PvP is buffed by 100%. So typically it's not really necessary to take this talent. And also it can be pretty bad into things like affliction warlocks, shamans, and shadow priests, since if they have unstable affliction or like vampiric touch on your pet and you dispel the effect, the negative effect of the dispelling those effects will go on you. So typically you can never play it into those matchups. So I mean, it's pretty okay into maybe like a mage or something that like roots your pet a lot, or maybe some team that like does a lot of damage to your pet, but typically 25% extra healing isn't really worth it, nor is the acceleration thing, especially when you have better things down the line. But it's a pretty okay talent nonetheless. Here we have a tar trap. It's a slow and a root. Yeah, it's really good. Here you have your purge. Pretty decent, can't complain. Probably gonna take it every single time. Over here you have concussive shot, which gets increased by steady shot. Wow, really cool. Now I have seen some people play without concussive shot to get other talents down the line. I'm not gonna recommend for you to do that. But just so you know that you definitely can drop concussive shot if you really want to. Note that also concussive shot is very bugged, and it goes through a lot of interesting effects. You can, for example, apply concussive shot through freedom, ice block, bubble, blade storm, but like they don't get slowed, but they just get the buff on them. So if you really want to be fancy, you can conk shot someone in a cyclone just to like just be cool, you know. That's something that you can do. Here we have your wall, which is actually nerfed in PvP. It's 25%, not 30. Good to know. 4-second root whenever you press tar trap. This is on the root DR, so just keep that in mind. Here you have your interrupt. Not bad, take it. Over here you have your trank shot, which is your purge. It becomes AoE. Now, this is only really good into things like, I want to say, Resto Druids, and okay into Evoker as well. Now, I wouldn't really recommend taking it, because sometimes you have better options, but it's definitely like a viable option. It's for sure definitely a viable option. This one sucks ass, don't worry. Misdirection, which is going to be a talent you will play whenever you go interlope, which I can talk about later. Oopsie-daisy. Then over here you have a kind of a useless talent, mainly because Shira is such a long CD that it's hard to really gain value from Scout Instincts, that like I would never really recommend for anyone to take this talent because you have so many other options to get, which is like way better. You get an extra charge on your wall, which is 25%. Take it. Reduces the cooldown and gives it more duration. Also more CDR on your interrupt. Very good. You take it. More damage on your wildfire bomb, which is like one of your hardest hitting abilities. You need to take it. Then over here you have kind of a bad effect, but you will mainly pick it just to go down further into the tree. So you just get 10 focus whenever you successfully purge something. So it's not that great, but it's not bad either. Cool. Just note that this, technically speaking, works with Coda Tranquilizer. So if you purge a lot of effects, you can get more than 10 focus. So that's like an upside to it. You can keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Then over here you have Scare Beast. Don't worry about this talent. It doesn't exist. Scare Beast. It's just, you know, you can scare beasts, I guess. I pretty much only really take this into Feral Druids sometimes. And if you want to pick it up, you can just drop Disruptive Rounds, take Scare Beast, and then ta-da, there you go. But for the most part, you won't really take Scare Beast. Then over here you have Intimidation. It's your bread and butter stun ability. Can't really go wrong. It's good. You take it. Over here you have Explosive Shot, which is one of your highest DPS abilities as well. So you take it. Then over here you have Binding Shot, which is just going to be a 3-second route that is like AoE. It can be a little bit finicky sometimes and has a lot of counterplay to it, but you get it for free, so you take it. Then over here you have Bursting Shot, which kinda sucks. So I would never really recommend Bursting Shot at all. Even if you play with something like an Athlete Warlock, which you rarely want to like remove their dots, I would still recommend Scatter Shot, because Scatter Shot, my god, has so many use cases. You know, you can use it on the healer sometimes, if you like miss a trap or something, or if you don't want a harpoon trap, you can maybe scatter trap. Not that I would recommend it, but I mean, there definitely are some cases where it's good to press scatter into a trap on the healer. But I think 90% of the time, Scatter Shot will be a spell that you will use on the off target, aka not your target and not the healer. So it's like the third person. That's typically who you will press Scatter Shot on. So this can be anything from like, if you're against the elemental shaman, you can scatter shot the shaman and then trap the healer so the shaman can't ground your trap, for example. But there's too many use cases. I'm not gonna go over everything, but like that's definitely something that you can use it for. Then over here you have 10 seconds of your intimidation, so it becomes a 50-second cooldown. Now this is pretty much good in every single game, so you will just kind of take this for the most part. Then over here you have attack speed on you and your pet, which is, I mean, it sounds decent on paper, but in reality it's not really that good, because your pet melee attacks don't do that much damage, and you are rarely in melee range the entire time, so you won't get full value from this talent anyway, so it's kinda bad. I would not recommend it, that's for sure. Here you just have 8% more damage, so you just kind of take it. Over here you have a 2% crit per point that you put in, which sounds bad on paper, but like in reality it's actually not that bad at all. Like the damage increase you get from it is pretty decent. But there are some like scenarios where you can drop this talent, so just kind of keep that in mind. Some more like utility things depending on what you are against. Then over here you have Binding Shot now becomes a 3-second stun instead of 2 seconds, so this is a mandatory talent. Then over here you have Scrappy, which is just whenever you press Wildfire Bomb, you reduce the CD of your bomb and intimidation. Now, typically, this will be played. In my opinion, I think it's extremely strong. The only thing about it is that it relies on you having uptime and also pressing your intimidation and Binding Shot on cooldown to get full value. But if you do your rotation properly, you stun it at the right times, and you get a lot of wildfire bombs by doing your rotation like a normal human being, this will be a really, really good talent, so I would recommend taking it. But typically, you need to drop a talent to get it. I can go into that later. But for now, I'm just gonna take it. Then over here, you have a useless talent. Don't worry about it. Kind of a bad talent, just gives you movement speed, but you need it to go down into Roar of Sacrifice. Here you have Binding Shackles, which is whenever you use Binding Shot, your Knock Trap, or Scatter Shot, or Intimidation, you will get 10% damage reduction from the target that you pressed it on. Now, in 3s, rarely will this talent be very good, because you will, for the most part, only really stun the healer, and you will press Scatter Shot on like the off target, blah blah blah. So it won't be that good. But in 2s, this is an extremely good talent. If you cycle your stuns, your scatter shots, your explosive traps with Binding Shackles, and you actually track the buff, you can pretty much have 10% damage reduction permanently in 2s, which is a really, really big deal. So, for the most part, I would say this is just like a 2s talent, but it's not useless, obviously, in 3s and Shuffle, but like in 2s, I would say this is a mandatory talent, in my opinion. Camouflage gives you stealth. You also need it to go down further into the tree, so you kind of always have to take it. I know some people have like asked me before, like, oh my god, do you really need to have camouflage? I feel like it's kind of useless. Yeah, you basically need to go camouflage. Here you have a sheath talent. If you want to sheath people, it's not actually that bad. Unironically, like I did play this in the AWC against the Rogue Mage. When we were playing on a short map, we were playing on the Dalaran sewers. So, you know, like it has some use. It's not that bad, you know, but it's definitely like you need to only play it if you know for a fact why you're playing it, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave it unticked for now. Here you have a RBG talent or a Blitz talent. If you're not playing Blitz, you're not playing RBG, don't take this talent. There you go. It just gives you movement speed when you haven't attacked anyone, which like rarely happens in Arena, but you know, in Blitz and stuff, it happens quite frequently, so the movement speed is definitely welcome there. Here you have Roar of Sacrifice, which just makes you immune to crits for 12 seconds. Not bad, you're gonna take it every single game. This talent is only good if you don't know how to read, so don't worry about it. This talent is extremely mediocre and bad, so don't worry about it. The only synergy is like, oh, it technically speaking works with Scout's Instinct because it's Aspect of the Shira that you get, but it's like you're wasting 2 talent points to get a really bad effect, so don't worry about it. It's fine, don't worry about it. Here you get 30 seconds of your Shira, Eagle, and your Turtle, which is mandatory because having 1 minute cooldown on your Aspect of the Eagle is extremely strong compared it to it being its 90-second CD that it is by default. So take it. This talent is also for people that don't know how to read, so don't worry about it, just ignore it. It's really, 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 really bad. 5 seconds of your this extremely good. You take it every game. There are so many moments where like you can't trap on cooldown because of the fact that you don't have 25 seconds on freezing trap. So this is a talent that you need to take pretty much every single game. Here we have a talent that only really functions into things like Unholy DK, sometimes rogues as well, so you can feign death their MS effect and their healing reduction, and then sometimes into you can also feign death the Feral Druid MS effect, but it's like it's not that great. You don't really need to take it, but it can be okay in some cases. But for the most part, this is mainly just like a Mythic Plus talent. But it's not that great. But it's good to know that it's there at least. Then right here you have Knock Trap, which you will just take every single game. It has so many use cases that you pretty much have to play it. Here you have a Mythic Plus talent, so it's really bad. And here you just have more damage, which is very much welcome, you know? You have 10% more damage on your damage over time effects, that then becomes a 15% damage increase on your damage over time effects, which is pretty good, so you can't really complain. And then, ta-da! There is the completed talent tree. So the only talent that you really want to take for 2s, I would say, is Binding Shackles. So if you want to play with Binding Shackles, I'd say you have 2 options. Either you drop Keen Eyesight to get Binding Shackles, or you can drop Scrappy for Binding Shackles. So this is kind of up to personal preference, which one you want to go. I've also seen people drop Concussive Shot for Binding Shackles, which is fine, you can do that too. So that's kind of what I would say. Like, just in general, have this as your default, and then if you want to go into Kodo Tranquilizer or Binding Shackles, you either drop Scrappy, Keen Eyesight, or Concussive Shot. But 99% of the time, I would recommend dropping 2% crit instead. Yeah. Same thing if you want to go Interlope with Misdirection, it's the same thing. You either drop Concussive Shot, Scrappy, or 1 point in Keen Eyesight, and then you pick up in Misdirection. Or if you're in like a very specific matchup where you're against something like a Mage in 2s, you can also drop 2 points in Keen Eyesight to get Binding Shackles and Misdirection. But I'm going to talk more about Misdirection soon in the PvP talent section, so don't worry about that. For now, just have this as your default, and then you're chilling kind of hard. Over here, you have the survival tree, so you just have your kill command, which is going to be your bread and butter generator spell. It gives you your focus, it gives you your tip of the spears. It's a spell. Over here, you have Wildfire Bomb, which is pretty much like 1/3 of your damage. Extremely important ability. One of the best in the business, so it's good. And then over here, you're going to be having Mongoose Bite, which is this thing over here. So, yeah. Your Wildfire Bomb has 2 charges, and the initial damage is 50% more. Good. Then here you have your Tip of the Spear. So, how Tip of the Spear works is, it says 15%, but it's actually 20% damage increase on the next, like, direct damage of your ability. So, for example, right, with Wildfire Bomb, it does initial damage, and then it also has a dot attached to it. Tip of the Spear only works on the initial damage. So, where it says 209k fire damage, it only buffs that by 20%. It does not buff the 235k damage over 6 seconds. Just so we are clear, that's how that works. Same thing with the flanking strikes, which also applies a bleed. It does not empower the bleed, it only empowers the direct damage. Are we all? Okay. Very important to know, because I know some people like tell me that, like, oh my god, it's so good to buff bomb with Tip of the Spear, but like, it's not that good, because you only necessarily buff half of the bomb damage with the Tip of the Spear. Just keep that in mind. Here you just have your auto attacks, reduces the CD of Wildfire Bomb. Can't really complain. Pretty mediocre talent, Quick Shot. If you are curious, this is roughly 1 to 1.5% damage increase on an average game. So think about it as like a 1% damage increase, essentially. Arcane Shot doesn't really hit for that much, and it's kind of RNG, but on average, roughly around 1% damage increase. Here we have Mongoose Bite. Wow. Now, if you remember the last guide, you didn't really take Mongoose Bite because it was kind of bad. But they buffed Mongoose Bite damage by 30%, which makes it really, really good. If you look at the damage difference between a 0-stack Mongoose Bite, it's 506k, and a Raptor Strike is doing 525. Before, deadass, Raptor Strike was, if this was doing 525k baseline damage, a Mongoose Bite would be doing like 400k damage. Like, it was extremely bad before. But after the buff, now you just take it, because there's basically no penalty in taking Mongoose Bite, so you will kind of always go Mongoose Bite. Thumbs up. Big fan. Then here, you just basically have a higher chance of kill command resetting, and Tip of the Spear damage is increased based on your crit, which with the current gear, if you looked here earlier how it's 15%, with the crit that you will have on your gear and the flanker's advantage, you will then have a 20% damage increase from your tip of the spear. Here we just have Mongoose Bite, yeah, it's just, you know, pressing your spells will reduce the CD of your other spells. That's like, yeah. But yada yada, who cares? Whatever, it's good. Wildfire Arsenal. So this seems like a spell that you would want to play around, you know? When in reality, it doesn't really matter. Like, it's just, think about it as just Wildfire Bomb does a little bit more damage, right? You don't have to like nuance, like think about it too much, or like, oh, I'm gonna like melee swing a pet next to me, so then I throw a Wildfire Bomb at the range target and it does more damage. Like, it doesn't really matter. Just ignore that the buff exists. Don't worry about it. Just think about it as like, it's just a damage increase on your Wildfire Bomb. That's kind of everything that it is. And since Wildfire Bomb is like 1/3 of your damage, it's pretty good, so you take it. Wow. Here you have Butchery and Flanking Strikes. Now, you will pretty much always take Flanking Strike, unless you want to be really special. And by that, I mean, if you're against like a Demon Warlock, and you want to have fun. That's kinda it. Since with Butchery, you also get more bomb CDR, since whatever, you know, but yeah, but you know, it's, don't worry, just take Flanking Strike. Okay, just take Flanking Strikes. It does a lot of damage. It actually does a lot of damage, like a considerate amount of damage. But it's a spell that only really does damage if you have other modifiers built into it, which I will go over later. Here you just have Kill Command extends the duration of your Mongoose Bite, which is pretty good. So I would recommend taking this in pretty much every single game, because it's extremely good to maintain your Mongoose Bite stacks, especially because you have other things in the pack leader tree, which also refreshes your Mongoose Bites, but I'm gonna talk about that later. So yeah, just know that you can press Kill Command to increase the duration of your Mongoose Bite by 1.5. You ignore the part that says for each stack Mongoose Fury increase. No one cares. It's who cares. Here you have 2 charges on your Kill Command. Good. Makes the rotation way easier. You don't have to, you know, it just becomes easier, essentially. More damage on your range spells, except for Wildfire Bomb. Okay, that's cool. Wow. Now here we have a Grenade Juggler. Whoa! Really cool spell. So, your Wildfire Bomb has a 25% chance to reset the cooldown on Explosive Shot, which is a 30-second CD. So that's kind of a big deal, actually. Wow. So, as long as you play around this effect, your damage is going to be way higher than someone that is not playing around this effect. Which is also why I think prioritizing Explosive Shot is better than prioritizing Bomb, since Bomb has a chance to reset Explosive Shot. So, good thing to keep in mind. This talent is only good if you take this talent, but I can talk about that later. This is just more damage, you have to take it. Flanking Strike does more damage, you have to take it. Raptor Strike does more damage and applies Serpent Sting, you have to take it. Kill Command applies a bleed that does 5 damage. It's not that good. It's, yeah. There is a build where you can actually take Bloodseeker, but I can talk about that later, I think. Harpoon resets the CD, you know, it's gonna be 20 seconds instead of 30, which is way more manageable. So you have to take this. Yeah. Also does some damage, but no one really cares. More damage on your spells, you have to take it. This makes your Killshot AoE, which, you know, is pretty okay. It's pretty decent. It's not the best talent in the world, but one of the best things about it, the fact that it's AoE and also it doubles the chance of you getting the kill shot, is the fact that you can kill totems with killshot very easily. Wow. But it's definitely like a talent that I've been thinking about dropping, because it's not that great. The only problem is the fact that there's nothing else you can really take, so like you just kind of take it because there's like it's like nothing else you can really, you know, whatever, who cares. The Serpent Sting becomes AoE if you press Mongoose Bite into someone that already has rats, which, I mean, but like, you're not playing a Mythic Plus, so no one cares. This talent would be good if you had a lot of crit, maybe, but it's not that great because it also relies on you having Bloodseeker, so you get 1 extra dot, so it's not fantastic. It's pretty mid, I would say. Here you have more damage, you have to take it. Here you have more damage, you have to take it. This talent is kind of mid because Kill Command in of itself doesn't really do that much damage. And they have super omega nerfed Spearhead. So this talent is literally useless outside of like very specific 1v1 niches if you're like dueling or maybe playing like Blitz or something where you need to like 1v1 defend a flag type scenario, you know? Outside of that, the talent is literally dead. So just keep that in mind. Here we have Fury of the Eagle. Wow, it does a considerate amount of damage. And it gives you haste with this talent over here. Also has a chance to give you Tip the Spear stacks. That's really cool. It's not the best spell in the world, but you don't really have that many other things to take. So as a default, I would recommend playing Fury of the Eagle. But if you really dislike Fury of the Eagle, you don't have to play it, because it is not that important to the general structure of how survival is being played, so you can definitely drop this talent. Here we have Coordinate Assault, is the best ability in the entire game. Wow, it does 50 trillion bajillion damage and gives you a bunch of stuff that I will talk about later in the pack leader thing. Wow, it's really good, you take it. Damn. So also some secret tips with the Coordinate Assault that I will talk about later, but just keep that in mind. Here you have the most mandatory talent of all time. It makes it 1 minute cooldown instead of 2 minutes. This talent is literally so bad unless you want to like one-shot someone in the opener. So never take it ever. Don't worry about it. And then here you just have, whenever you press Coordinate Assault, you get 1 extra bomb charge. And then whenever Coordinate fades, it makes your next explosive shot AoE. Which is pretty decent. Especially into pets, because, you know, it's 100% effectiveness, so if someone is nearby all the pets, all 3 explosive shots hit at the same time and can do a lot of damage and kill someone. So, ta-da! There is the tree. That's the tree. Now, if you were interested on what you can do if you really dislike Fury of the Eagle, you have 2 options. So, you drop these 2 talents, and then you either take Cull the Herd, which is just kill shot, makes the target take more bleed damage, and then Born to Kill, which makes them take even more damage. No, it actually increases the duration and makes it so they take more kill shot damage if they have the buff already. Which, this is more of like a ranged playstyle, I would say, since now you have 20% chance, since these both increase them by 5%, so 15 and then 20. You have a 20% chance on your kill command to give you a kill shot. So in matchups where you don't think you can be melee range that much, it can be good to just press this so you have more range damage, if that makes any sense. It's also very RNG, because if you happen to get a kill shot as you get a bear, which applies a big bleed, the AoE damage that you will do will be insane. Or even just the single target damage, because you're increasing it by 25%. So, depending on what you're against, this can be either really good or really bad. So, if you want to have something that is like pretty much always decent, because this is either really good or like extremely useless, you can also go Bloodseeker plus Quickshot. Now, these 2 together is roughly like a 2% damage increase, I have seen, roughly. So, I will basically play this build if I'm against something that maybe I'm never allowed to fully channel, like a Fury of the Eagle. Like, if I'm against, I don't know, Frost Mage Holy Priest in 2s on a big map. Like, there is no galaxy where I can ever channel a Fury of the Eagle, because they're going to be playing so far away from me, right? So, in that game, I would probably go Bloodseeker and Quickshot, just because it's like a 2% damage increase compared to this, which I can never really channel. So, yeah, these 2 talent points, they kind of just come up to you. You know, do you either want to go for the big bleed, especially with the bear, or do you just want to go with Quickshot Bloodseeker, or do you want to do the default, which I would recommend for like 90% of the time? Just go Fury of the Eagle, and then Ruthless Mordor, and then don't worry about it too much. That's kind of what I would do. The only other thing is, if you are playing with Spearhead and Deadly Duo, which I would never recommend unless you are playing some very specific blitz thing. You can drop all the talents over here, and then you can go into Killer Companion, Spearhead, and then Deadly Duo. And you can also drop Bloody Claws for explosive shots, because Bloody Claws is kind of bad in like short trades, you know, because this is more of like a prolonged stuff. So this would be the build that I would recommend if you're maybe 1v1ing someone in like a blitz type scenario, but just note that I would never recommend this build if you are playing in an arena environment. Any Hoosers, let's go on to like an actual build. There we go. Then Pack Leader. So the thing about Pack Leader is that this is pretty much how, this is the reason why survival is so good, is because of Pack Leader. Now, it's kind of a complicated hero tree, but it makes the rotation so fun. So I'm just gonna go over by, you know, what they all do. So first of all, whenever you get a Howl of the Pack, whenever you summon a pet, you get 10 seconds off your bomb. Just keep that in mind. Then, whenever you do Kill Command and Mongoose Bite, you reduce the cooldown of the Howl of the Pack. So keep that in mind. Then this is just more cooldown reduction, so it's going to be 25. And then your pets also do a little bit more damage. Here you have kind of 2 options. Now, I think most people tend to go for Ursine Fury, which is your bear has a chance to reset the CD of Butchery and Flanking by 2 seconds. But I actually think that Envenom Fangs is better, because if you apply the bear on a fresh Serpent Sting, it does 800k damage, which, in my opinion, outweighs this by so much. So I would just recommend taking Envenom Fangs all the time. This is just more damage on your, you know, more damage and more duration on your Wyvern. That's kind of it, if you press Wildfire Bomb. So, shoo-hoo. So your boar, it refreshes your Mongoose Bite stacks, which is extremely important. And also, each time the boar does damage, it has a chance to give you more Mongoose Bite stacks, which I will then go over later. So I'm gonna first just go over the talents and then show you kind of like how they work and how they look. This is just Kill Shot makes your pets charge. It doesn't really, who cares? This is the worst defensive in the entire game. Who cares? And here you will just take Disengage, basically 4-second CDR. So, because you will, for the most part, press Disengage whenever you're slowed or rooted. So, 16 seconds instead of 14 is really, really good. This one is kind of bad, so don't take it. And then over here is the Motherload, the Big Daddy, the reason why it's so good. So, whenever you press Coordinated Assault, you get a pet. And then also, your pets do 25% more damage that you summon. And your pet do 30% more damage, which scales with flanking strikes. Whoa! So let me now just take all the talents, and I'm kind of just gonna show you how it works, because I feel like intuitively when you read it, it doesn't really make too much sense, like, what is that? But it makes so much more sense whenever you see it in action. So here I'm gonna go over to this target dummy. So I have this weaker over here, where, you know, you will see this buff way easier, essentially. So you can see here how this buff is ticking down, right? This is the Howl of the Pack. So you will first spawn a Wyvern, and then a boar, and then a bear. It's always in the same order. So if you see here, now I will get a Wyvern. So whenever I press Kill Command, I will summon this wyvern. So you see, I'm gonna press kill command. Wow, and then you get a new half of the pack that you need to get down, and then you have the wyvern buff over here, which you can extend by pressing wildfire bomb. And I think you can do it 2 times. Yes, if you press wildfire bomb 2 times, you see you will increase the buff. So this will not be a thing that you will have to think about, it just kind of happens. Next up, you will have the boar. So how the boar works, let me show you. So if you have a mongoose bite stack, I'm just gonna show you real quick how it like refreshes the mongoose bite stack. So I can press kill command like right now. You see how it refreshes, and then whenever it does damage, you see how it has a chance to then give you an additional mongoose bite stack. You see there? Now I have 5 stacks. Wow, pretty good. And then the next one that's gonna come up. So I'm gonna press mongoose bites to get it down. It's gonna be the bear. Now the bear, you just press it, and it does damage, and then it applies a bleed. Teehee. Wow. The bear auto attacks also do a lot of damage, so keep that in mind. And then now it's gonna cycle back to the wyvern. Ta-da! And now whenever you press kill command, you're gonna get a wyvern. So yeah, that's pretty much how that works. So you can kind of see how there are a lot of things that you can min-max with this. So I'm gonna go a little bit more in depth later, but that's just like a general idea of like how it works, that you will press kill command and mongoose bite to lower the cooldown even more, so you can then summon more pets. And then also a very important detail is that whenever you summon your pet, it also reduces the CD of your wildfire bomb by 10 seconds. So let me show you here. So let's say that if I press a wildfire bomb right now, bam, and then you press your kill command to summon the boar over here. You see how I get my bomb back? Wow, that's really cool. Wow, fantastic. So yeah, I'm just gonna read what I was about to talk about, so 1 second. Hi, okay, I kind of forgot that I was gonna talk about Sentinel as well. Even though Pack Leader is the best overall, Sentinel still has some use cases. So the upside with Pack Leader is that the more that you do your rotation, the more damage that you have. And typically, the second go will be way more impactful than the first go, mainly because of the way that the pets rotate, how you always get the wyvern, then you get the boar, and then you get the bear. Now, since the bear is, for the most part, the best pet out of them, your opener won't be that strong. So, in cases where you, number one, won't have a lot of uptime in order to get the buff lowered with kill command and mongoose bite, it is good to go Sentinel, since this is legit just you press wildfire bomb and then you summon a big thing that does a lot of damage. The other effects, they don't really matter too much. Don't think about it too much. They just give you damage increase, essentially. So I would only really recommend for you to take Sentinel in matchups where either against things like Rogue Mage in 2s, where you have very limited uptime, or if you're maybe playing like a Blitz or something where it's like a strictly like a 1v1 type scenario, nothing else really matters, you're not gonna have super long, prolonged fights, it's just gonna be like a very short, because pressing Wildfire Bomb, just like this, and then having this big blue thing that does a lot of damage, is really, really, really good. Like, the damage that it brings is super substantial, but just know that the damage over time won't be as good as Pack Leader. Like, you will run out of steam eventually, but if you only really care about like short, under 30 seconds or even under like 1 minute trades, Sentinel is for sure a viable option and shouldn't be something that should be like ignored, It's for sure a talent, a hero talent tree that you can go, but not something that I would recommend unless you have a very specific reason to pick up Sentinel. And by the way, the reason why I want to preface this is because if you look on websites such as Murloc.io, you will see that like 47 people go Pack Leader and 3 people go Sentinel. So like you might come to the conclusion yourself that Sentinel is like extremely bad and you have to go Pack Leader. Whereas in reality, Sentinel is also really good. But only sometimes. It's good when it's good, and then it's bad when it's bad. yeah, I just want to bring that up real quick, because I know that people are wondering about Sentinel, so just know that it's good when you need to play it, otherwise just stick to pack leader. Okay, so now that's that out of now that that's out of the way, I want to talk about the PvP talents. So the only two options, and we have, well, I'd say that like survival tactics, this talent, which is Feign that reduces the CD by 90 seconds, this will be a talent that you will always go. There is pretty much no scenario where you will never not take this talent. It's just, you know, it's pretty much like a bubble on a 30-second CD that lasts for 2 seconds. Like, it is extremely valuable. So this is for sure a talent that you kind of just always take. Then the other talent that you pretty much always goes is a Camerial. So how this works is that you apply 3 poisons. So it will first be the slow, and then the silence, and then the healing and damage reduction. One cool thing that you can do now with the change to how Freezing Trap works is that you can apply Camerial Sting in the Freezing Trap. Now here it broke to the target dummy because I'm doing like 10 trillion billion gajillion damage into it because of the scaling. But just so you know that in an actual arena game against players, you can in fact press Camerial into Freezing Trap. So since it's only really the silence that we care about, when there's 3 seconds left of the Freezing Trap, if you then press Camerial into it, then, you know, bam, they will become silenced the second that they come out of the Freezing Trap. So that's kind of cool. It's also a spell that you can use in order to get a trap. So for example, into like priests or something, you can do a Camerial and then wait until they're silenced. And then you can go for a Harpoon Trap, because now they can't use Death, they can't use Fade, anything like that. So you can get it much more guaranteed. The only thing you have to be worried about are people that, like, for example, druids, they can shapeshift out of the slow, so they become silenced instantly, so maybe that can mess up your timing a little bit. You need to also remember that all 3 effects are poisons, so that means that druids, monks, and paladins, if they are like Retribution, Windwalker, or Feral, or Boomy, they can dispel the silence from their healer, because the silence is not actually a magic effect, it is a poison effect. So this is, if you have a poison dispel, you can remove it. Keep that in mind. Also, very important, since you need to first apply the slow for them to be silenced, if you press Camerial into a freedom effect, or anyone that is immune to slow effects, the spell won't do anything. You know, they won't get silenced, and then they won't get the reduced damage and healing. So keep that in mind as well. This is especially annoying with the... I need to actually find the effect. 1 second. Here. It's especially a big deal with hollowed ground, because typically it's like hard to really know if you can apply a slow to paladins, because they're typically standing inside their consecration, which makes them immune to slows. So something that I do a lot is that I just press Camerial on a paladin that is standing inside their consecration, and then the slow doesn't get applied, so therefore the silence doesn't get applied, so the spell basically does nothing. So keep that in mind. There is a lot of counterplay to Camerial, but other than that, it is a really, really good spell. And then your third talent is, for the most part, it will be your disarm. Now, one thing about the disarm is the fact that it's AoE. Wow. Also, you can't disarm dummies, but yeah, just note that this you can use things like Grounding Totem and Spell Reflect to immune the disarm. So keep that in mind, the fact that the application is physical. So, you know, don't get your Sticky Tar Bomb reflected if you're against a warrior, or getting it Grounding Totemed, or anything like that. So, very interesting. So, and then after that, you kind of have like Mending Bandage, which is just like, it removes, you know, bleeds and diseases. For the most part, you will mainly really use this into Feral Druids and Asa Rogues. So, one thing that's also very important to know about Mending Bandage is the fact that it doesn't need to heal in order to remove effects. So you can just use mending bandage like that, and it will clear everything. You don't need to like stand still or wait for anything. So you might think, okay, but what do you do against casters, right? Because mending bandage is useless against casters. Sticky tar bomb is useless against casters. So like, what do? You have two options. You either go hunting pack if you're lazy, which is just cooldown reduction on your Cheetah, which is just a sprint, or you go interlope. Wow, and then for to go interlope, you need to like do this. Wow. So how interlope works, for me, the easiest way to explain it is that it's a personal grounding totem. So if you're within, what is it, 20 yards of your pet? Yes. 20 yards is like, it's like this. So if I press interlope on myself right now, bam, the next 3 abilities will go on my pet instead of me. So every spell that can be grounding totemed can be interloped. So this is things like, you know, Hodge, Mortal Coil, Ice Lance, Fear, Polymorph, etc. Blah blah. You know, all the spells you can, Freezing Trap, etc. I don't know what, you know. So that's, wow, that's really cool. You can also use it on other people, but just note that they need to be within 20 yards of your pet for it to work, which is, I mean, it's kind of large, but it's also like a very hard spell to press. So typically what I recommend for people whenever I do VOD reviews is I tend to see that people will just never press misdirection. Now, I don't know if this is just like with the people that I VOD review, I don't know, but people just don't like to press interlope for some reason. What I would recommend, if you are a beginner, is to macro it into your coordinated assault. Now, the reason why is because typically speaking, you will get CC'd when you press your offensive cooldowns, right? So if you press coordinated assault, now you will be immune to the next 3 abilities, right? So maybe a warlock will press coil on you the second that they, you know, you charge at them, or maybe the H paladin that is like next to you will hammer of justice you, will stun you whenever you're nearby. Maybe a mage will try to like dragon's breath into sheep you or something, but now you are immune to sheep, so that can't happen. Maybe a warlock will press a stun on you, and then they will try to fear you, you know, but now you're immune to fear. So it's extremely valuable in like these scenarios, and like very easy to just macro it in. So if you want to know how to write that macro, I can just type it to you here right now. You want to do show tooltip coordinated assault, and then you want to do /cast coordinated assault, and then you want to do /cast at player misdirection. And then, very important, you also want to do cancel aura misdirection. So the reason why you want to do this is because the cooldown on interlope is attached to your misdirection. So if you see here, if I only press it 1 time, bam, you see how I already have the interlope buff ticking, but if you cancel misdirection, now you see how it actually goes down, right? So that's why you wanna cancel it as soon as possible, so you will get the cooldown back up faster. And then for some reason it's not possible. I don't know why. There's like a grace period where you can't instantly cancel misdirection. So if you want to, you can either double press this macro if you want to be a fancy boy, or just know that the misdirection effect will go off immediately once you strike the opponent. This is why your abilities get like darkened. Let me show you. You see? And then if you do one ability, bam, that's when it like actually works. So yeah, you either just cancel it by double pressing the spell, which I have because I have my interlope on a mouse wheel, so it's very easy to just like do shift mouse wheel up, and then I will obviously mouse wheel up a lot more than once, so I will cancel it really quickly. But if you have it on a button, it's good to know that either you can double click it if you want to be fancy, or just do an attack, and then it's going to work just fine. So that's kind of it. I'm not going to talk about the other talents because they literally suck. Tracker's Net is beyond awful. It has been nerfed to the ground so many times. It is now legit, it's garbage. Also, the meta has like changed so much that like people will always have some random dot on them. That I would never really recommend Tracker's Net. If they did do the thing to Tracker's Net, where like it doesn't break instantly on damage, the spell would be incredibly strong. But the fact that it breaks on any damage, even damage through absorbs. So before, how it used to work is that if you have like a power word shield on you, and you do damage, the absorb damage won't break the Tracker's Net. Only actual damage will break. But now it's like any damage. Like if you take either, like if someone tickles you, even if you have like a touch of karma on you or like the biggest absorb of all time, it will break. So it's bad. Diamond Eyes has been nerfed to the ground. It's really bad. Wild Kingdom is only a talent that I would ever recommend playing if you want to like 1v1 cheese someone. That's literally it. If you don't want to cheese anyone in like a 1v1 dueling someone in like Duratar or Elven Forest, don't take this talent. They added this talent for like, I have no clue why they have. I mean, if you want to have fun, I guess, you can disengage twice for some reason, which is like kind of cool. Wow, that's so cool. I don't know, maybe they want Scion's Fall to come back into the game or something. That is like the only reason why I can imagine this talent coming back. It's a 70% slow. Whoa, that's so cool. I don't know if this talent is so bad. Like, I would just don't take the talent, okay? That's that's kind of it. Let me see, what else do I have? I have my pets. Oh yeah, sure. So they did actually change something about pets this patch, which is really, really cool. So let me go and change my talents, and I'm going to go over to the pet tree. And I'm going to talk about what they have done to pets. Now, sadly, you only really have one option when it comes to pets. Kinda two, but only really one. So here is a stable master. So let me first go to the website over here. Ta-da! Bam. So here are all the pets that you can essentially have. You can have a carrion bird, a devil sword, dire horn, hydra, hyena, blah blah. You can read. What they have changed is that you can now choose the family specialization of each pet. So you see here how I have a carrion bird. Before, this bird could only have bloodlust, right? But now it can have master's call. Wow, that's so cool. Also, if you look at my tank pet, it's now a bee. Before, the bee could only have bloodlust, but now you can have the tank pet ability. Wow, that's so cool. So there you have so many more options now than what you had before. So the pets that I would recommend, let me actually type it first, and then I'm going to explain it. 1 second. Okay, right, so here we go. You have a undead cunning, beast cunning, a beast with ferocity, undead cunning. Oh wait, no, I mean this is tenacity. I actually typed it wrong. Oh no, tenacity, and then a beast tenacity. So let me oops, daisy. Here, how they work. So the reason why you want to have an undead pet in certain scenarios, which is this pet over here, you will need to go to Raptor. And then scroll down here. Wow, undead raptors. You see how they are undead, not beast, which is they have a certain property where they are immune to things like polymorph, hex, imprison, and sap. Technically speaking, scare beast and technically hibernate, but no one really cares. It's mainly because you're immune to sap and polymorph. Think about it like that. That's like the most two important things. And the easiest way to get this by far is to go into Maldraxxus over here. If you go to Shadowlands, then Maldraxxus, and then just do Plaguefall, kill all the mobs inside the dungeon. There's basically like a 2% chance to get it per mob in the dungeon. So if you run it at least 2 times, there's like a 100% chance that you're gonna get the tome. So keep that in mind. Also, you can only get it to drop if you are a hunter. So don't farm this on another class, but just know that if you get it one time, you have it on your entire account. Just so you know. So, once you have tamed 2 undead raptors, and then 3 random beasts, that's... So you can, for example, have... maybe you can tame this guy, and then you can tame this guy, so you have 2 undead raptors. And then it can be 3 randoms. Maybe you want to have a rodent. Maybe you think this guy is kind of cute. You want to have a little fella. Maybe you want to have these little guys. Maybe one of these, you know? Just any 3 mortal wound pets, and then you're golden. Then what you want to do is that you want to go up to the stable master, and you want to be hello. Then over here you see how you can change the specialization of all of them. So you will have an undead with that is cunning, a beast that is cunning, then you want to have a ferocity that is cunning, that is ferocity, and then a beast tenacity, and then a tank tenacity. So why do you want to have a beast in the first place? Now, the reason why is Ret Paladins. So Ret Paladins' Wake of Ashes will stun undeads for 5 seconds. So you are legally never allowed to have an undead pet into Ret Paladin ever. That is the reason why. Technically Shackle Undead the priest have, but no one is going to take that talent anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But the fact that your undead's pet will be stunned against a Ret Paladin is such a big deal that it's like illegal to ever have undeads into Ret Paladins specifically. Okay? But in every other scenario that you're not against a Ret Paladin, just have an undead pet, because it's just strictly better than like beast pets. Wow, that's kind of cool. So what do the effects even do? Like, what do they actually do? So cunning pests, they give you freedom. Now currently freedom is a bit bugged. It's hopefully gonna get fixed. But if you are curious what the bug is that Master's Call only works on people that you're targeting. So if you want to have a macro for someone, you need to target them, press Master's Call, and then target last target. I know, it's very, very obnoxious, but that's hopefully gonna get fixed by the time this guide is like a week old, so don't worry too much about it, I would say. A Master's Call pet is gonna be the pet that you will have like 90% of the time. So yeah, it just gives you freedom, gives your teammates freedom. You can't really complain. It's just a good effect. The second pet that you want to have is a ferocity pet. So this gives you bloodlust. Now bloodlust obviously is good in like Mythic Plus, maybe raiding, if you're doing any outworld activity. If you're doing a blitz, for example, if your team doesn't have a bloodlust, you can now, press bloodlust. So that's cool. You can't use it in arena, but for just blitz and BGs and PvE, it's also really good to have. And then you have the tank pet ability, which is a 20% heal and 20% health increase. So this will mainly be played into things like Rogue Mage, where you can die in a stun, because you can press this ability even though you are CC'd. So as long as your pet is free, you can press this ability, and then it will heal you for like a lot. So into Rogue Mage, that's really, really good. So those are the 5 pets that you want to have. Just have that, and then you're kind of chilling. That's about it. Okay, and then I'm going to talk about the gear real quick and the embellishments. So the stat priority that you want to have is basically as much mastery as you can, and then kind of 50-50 the haste and the verse. So I'm going to have a biz list right here that I will have in the description down below. So if you want to get the biz list with all the best gear, the best enchants, the best embellishments, you have them right here. The reason why you don't need that much versatility on survival is because you already have 6% damage reduction baseline from your mastery. So this, your mastery effect will just be a damage increase. That's essentially it. It's as easy as it gets. I would say don't worry too much about the bonus is increased by 100% when you're within 25% of your pet. The reason why is because you have a grace period. So if you're farther away from your pet, you still have the benefit from your mastery for 10 seconds. So, it's pretty much impossible to lose your mastery. You will basically always have it up the entire game. So just keep that in mind. That I would say don't think about it too much. You're pretty much always gonna have the 100% effect of your mastery. So yeah, that's kind of it when it comes to gearing. And then with the macros, there isn't really anything that I want to talk about in the macros other than just like, here is my macro pastebin that I have spent a lot of time to. So if you want to read this and get to know everything and blah, 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 then here, you can feel free to read this. It has all my macros, reasoning why I have them, blah, 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 and everything like that. The only thing that is not here is the Master's Call ones. This is only because of the bug. So if you want to do Master's Call on your teammates, this is the macro that I would recommend, where it's target player, target mouseover, Master's Call, command pet, and then target last target. This should work as a Master's Call on yourself, and then if you do it on mouseover, it will prioritize the mouseover because it's, you know, it's being written afterwards. So this will just be the default macro that I would recommend for most people to have. If you want to have party 1 and party 2 Master's Call, you need to do something like this. Show tooltip. Target party 1 / cast Master's Call. Target last target. It's so ghetto, and it's so sad. But surely they will fix this bug eventually, right? And then same thing if you want to have party 2, you do party 2. And then, yeah, but it's... I didn't want to talk about too much of it, because I think it's going to get fixed soon, so just keep that in mind that it's very bugged. Lovely, teehee. Next up, what do we have? Tips and tricks! Hey, yo. Okay, here, number 1. Track hidden. You need to make sure that you have track hidden on, because this gives you 10 yards extra stealth detection, which is pretty big, so make sure that you always have it on. Number 2, here are all the spells you can use in Turtle. It's kind of a lot, so you can feel free to read all of them. And then for some reason, you could before press Hunter's Mark and Wild Kingdom while you're in Turtle, but you can't anymore. Very sad. I don't know why, but yeah, you can feel free to just read everything here, and now you know what to press, what you can press, etc, etc. Number 3, using Pet Taunt to keep someone in combat. So, if you don't know, combat in PvP is 6 seconds long, and Freezing Trap in PvP lasts for 6 seconds. This means that if you trap a Resto Druid, or just any Druid, or a Rogue, they will drop combat at the end of their at the end of their Freezing Trap. So this is especially a big deal in the Resto Druids, because they can just go stealth and then rake stun you at the end of their Freezing Trap, which is really, really bad. So there are 2 things that I would recommend to do here. Either you can use Pet Taunt, because it's off global cooldown, and then you apply combat to them while they're in the trap, so they, you know, they don't drop combat the second that they're out. This is something that I do a lot, especially in 2s. If I'm against like Resto Druids in 2s, I just quickly Pet Taunt the healer while they're in the trap, just so they don't drop combat instantly, so they can't like get a re-stealth and then stun me or stun my healer or do anything like that. It's very obnoxious, so definitely something that I would recommend doing. And if you don't want to Pet Taunt, you can also just press Concussive Shot, because this also applies combat, so keep that in mind. You can just do it like halfway through the trap, and then... But the only downside is the fact that the Concussive Shot is like global, so you will lose some damage doing it. So that's why I would recommend for the most part to just press Pet Taunt. Then Roar of Sacrifice. So this spell changes a lot in how it works. So how it works right now is that Roar of Sacrifice is 40 yards line... Okay, so it's line of sight of the hunter, the player, 40 yards. And it's 40 yards from the pet, but the pet portion ignores line of sight, which is very confusing. Also, you can only press it if the pet is free. It doesn't matter if you are free. So, let's say, for example, right, that like, if my pet is like inside this house, I can still press Roar of Sacrifice on myself, because I'm within 40 yards of myself. Same thing if I want to press Roar of Sacrifice on, let's say, this person, and my pet was still inside the house, it would still work because my pet is within 40 yards, ignoring line of sight, and I'm within 40 yards. But let's say that I'm over here. I cannot use Roar of Sacrifice on this person because they are not within 40 yards of my pet, even though they are within 40 yards of me. I hope that makes sense. So, this is why you can't Roar of Sacrifice someone that is in a smoke bomb, even though your pet is inside the smoke bomb, because it requires 40 yards line of sight from you. It's only the pet portion that it has to be within 40 yards, but that part ignores line of sight. Yeah, it's a very weird spell. I don't know. That's just the way that it works. Anyways, Scattershot has some weird interactions with it. I'd say one of the biggest things is the fact that... Oopsie daisy. Oh no. Well, it was... Oh my god, this is so ghetto. Knowing how Scattershot works. It doesn't break from Explosive Shot or Kill Command. So this means that you can do something like, you know, something like this. Bam, doesn't break. Kill Command doesn't break either. So you can keep that in mind if you want to like mid-max something, or one of the biggest knowledge checks with this, or the reason why I think it's so important to know, is let's say, for example, that you want to like, you press maybe Explosive Shot on the kill target, and then you want to stun trap the healer, right? But you notice that the kill target is coming very, very close. So your freezing trap will break instantly from the Explosive Shot, right? In this scenario, instead of throwing the freezing trap, you can just cut your losses and just do stun into Scattershot and then trap. Because then the Explosive Shot that you press won't break the Scattershot. Fun fact. Wow. I mean, if you see here, if I do this, Scattershot this car, you know, it won't break. So, that's cool. This used to also work with Wildfire Bomb, but sadly, Wildfire Bomb now breaks. I know, very, very sad. Really depressing. Camouflage. So, camouflage is very weird, I would say. There are two components to it. The number one is that when you are in stealth and your pet is in stealth, you can now press Kill Command, of course, and it won't take you out unless it resets. Let me just do that again. 1 second. Hello. Okay, so here's the thing. If you are in stealth and your pet is in stealth, Kill Command will not take you out except for when it resets, which is a 20% chance. So you can Kill Command like this. But it's resetting again! Okay, well, 1 second. Okay, maybe now I can demonstrate. So I'm gonna be in stealth, my pet is in stealth. Press Kill Command. And you see, it doesn't take me or my pet out. The reason why is because it only takes you out when it resets. So let's say, for example, that... Okay, let me show you another thing. The only thing you need to know is that if your pet is in stealth, then if your pet is in stealth... Why am I having a brain freeze? The pet auto attacks will take you out. Okay. Because then your pet is attached to your stealth. Same thing with if your pet takes damage, it will take you out because your pet is attached to your stealth. Now, key note, fun fact, neither of these boar and the bears and the wyverns, they don't take you out. So that's also a fun thing that you can do very rarely, because typically you will get taken out from stealth, but that's something to keep in mind. So I'm going to show you something that you can do pretty much every single opener that I would highly recommend. Here, right? It's when you are in stealth and then you summon your pet. Because now your pet is not in stealth. Now there are two good things about this. Number one, you are stacking down your Howl of the Pack, right? Which you know, so now you will get your pets from, you know, the wyvern, the boar, and the bear way faster in the opener without your opponents being able to like do anything about it. And another thing, you see I can press kill command and it didn't reset, so now I'm still in stealth and my bear is like doing work and stuff. It's also a good way to farm tip of the spear stacks just freely. So one opener that I would recommend for the most part is that you just go stealth, then you summon your pet, and then you just spam kill command as many times as you can until you get taken out, which is 20% of the time. Here I get lucky and I literally never get taken out, but now I can open up the game with Exploder Shot, Bomb, Bomb, and now all of those 3 abilities have been empowered by Tip of the Spear. Wow, that's really cool. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Can I drop combat? Hello. Thank you. Then we have Intimidation. The only thing you really need to know is the fact that Intimidation is 50 yards from your pet, even though it says nowhere. So this means that you can literally be in like... I mean, look how far away I am. Like, hello, and stun. Because it's only 50 yards from the pet. Your line of sight has nothing to do with it. Another bug with Intimidation is the fact that even if your pet is in a disorient, so that's like a blind, paladin blind, DK blind, dragon's breath, they can still use Intimidation for some reason. So if your pet gets dragon's breath, you can still pet stun the mage. That's kind of cool. But if your pet is like stunned or feared or anything, then you can't press Intimidation. But just keep that in mind. That yeah, and obviously if your pet is rooted, it can't stun unless it's melee range of the target as well. So that's something. Then there's something that I see a lot. Don't macro / cast wake up to your abilities. If you don't know what this is, it's Play Dead, where you can buy over here. Wow. This guy, he sells it. Play Dead, which is just pet feign death. It's just feign death, but it's for your pet. So it has 2 components to it. It has Play Dead, and then the wake up effect. Now the thing is that you can press wake up even though your pet hasn't been sleeping. So an issue that can happen, let me show you. Okay, so here, right? Let's say that you just / cast wake up. So now the wake up effect is on cooldown. So now if you put your pet to sleep, you can't wake them up. And then the reason why I'm saying this is because, for the love of God, I remember there was a guide back in Shadowlands that recommended people to put wake up to their abilities. Because back in Shadowlands, you couldn't use wake up unless it was already sleeping. But then when Dragonflight came out, that changed. So a lot of people that are using old macros are griefing themselves so much to the point where I know people in my Twitch chat that don't even want to press pet feign death because it's quote unquote bugged. But the thing is, it's not bugged. It's people that have like bad macros. So just make sure that you don't have / cast wake up in any of your macros. Just make sure. That's I just need to just get it out there. Just public service announcement, and you're welcome. Here we have the biggest thing though. Oh my god, the coordinated assault bug. So you remember how I said earlier, with whenever you press coordinated assault, it summons one of the wyvern, the boar, and the bear. Here's the cool part. If you are 40 yards away from the enemy, you actually get 2 pets. Bam! So how I got the boar, I got the bear instantly, but then you also got the wyvern. Now, this is actually completely insane. It's such a overpowered bug that will be fixed, but just abuse it while you can. I'm gonna have like a pinned comment whenever it gets fixed, but this is something that you need to do, because the amount of damage that you can do by having 2 pets instead of 1 is ridiculous. One of the strongest combinations that you can do with Pack Leader is the boar and the bear. If you have them 2 together, your damage will be ridiculous. So I'm quickly gonna show you how that looks. So right here, for example, I have a wyvern, which means that my next 2 will be a boar and a bear. So if I press coordinated assault from 40 yards away, it will be a boar and a bear. So now I'm gonna press kill command. I have all 3 pets out at the same time, which is actually ridiculous. I have clips of me and Twos killing resto druids 100-0 by only doing having a wyvern out or any one of the pets out, then doing it from 40 yards away, coordinated assault from 40 yards, so you get all 3 pets, then doing kill command to summon them all, flanking strikes, and then wildfire bomb. That is enough to 100-0 someone. It is actually ridiculous how much damage it does. But if you don't want to use the bug, the other moment where you have a lot of burst is, let me show you right here. It's whenever you just summon the wyvern and you know that your next pet is going to be a boar. So in a scenario like this, where you have a boar out, if you press kill command, if you can press coordinate right now, you will now have the boar and the bear, and it will also refresh your mongoose bites whenever you press. So now you have the boar and the bear, and then the previous wyvern buff, and this damage will be ridiculous. If you just press kill command right now and then just do like a bomb and then like a flanking strikes, it will do the most unhealable damage of all time. So just keep that in mind. But this is not about damage. This is just about the coordinate assault bug. So just keep that in mind, that if you happen to be really far away from someone and you press coordinate assault, you will get 2 pets instead of 1, which is ridiculously overpowered. Probably gonna get fixed, but right now it's not fixed. So just abuse it while you can. And then I already talked about the monster's call bug. I think, yeah, it's the fact that it only works on people that you're targeting. So you need to macro around it. But I'm gonna have everything linked down in the description, so it's gonna be fixed. Ta-da! And then 11. There are 2 cool things you can do with the fact that Freezing Trap no longer breaks instantly on damage. Now, I already mentioned the first thing, which is Camerial. The fact that you can trap someone and then press Camerial, so they will become silenced by the time that they get out. But another really cool thing that I've done a lot recently, if you play with Priest in 2s, you might notice that like it's hard for the Priest sometimes to get a fear out of your trap. But if you knock, let's say that I have the Priest over here, right? You can knock them into your teammates and they will still be in the freezing trap. It's so fun to do, and it's so good to do as well. And yeah, you can also, knock them away maybe if you want to do it like that. This is especially good on maps such as the new one, Cage of Carnage. If you trap someone and then knock them away, and then by the time that they're gonna be out of the trap, you can maybe slow them with like a concussive shot. You can be really obnoxious, really annoying. So yeah. Camerial and Knock Trap are the 2 spells that I would recommend that you use while people are in Freezing Trap. And then I didn't really talk about it here, but I guess number 12 is the Command Pet bug. So there's a bug currently right now where if you enter an arena with your pet out, Command Pet won't work. So then to fix it, the second you enter the arena, you just need to dismiss the pet, and then summon your pet again, and then the bug is fixed, essentially. So now I'm like essentially just gonna be talking about like doing damage, because I think it's like very important to playing survival. So I sort of made a priority list here. The thing is that it's a little bit complicated. And the reason why it's complicated is because there are so many nuances to the way that you want to do your rotation as survival. I'd say one of the biggest things is that sometimes Mongoose Bite is higher up in the priority list than what I wrote it. And the reason why is because if you put yourself in a scenario where you know you can only have melee uptime for a couple seconds, it's worth it to over-prioritize Mongoose Bite once you are melee range, so that you will then have your range globals to press by the time that they get away from you. So, very easy example. Let's say you are against like a mage right now, and you know that the mage will blink very, very soon. Even though right now you have other buttons to press, sometimes it's worth it to maybe just do 2 Mongoose Bites, and then they blink away. And then when they blink away, you have Explosive Shots left, you have Wildfire Bomb left, and you have another Wildfire Bomb left, right? So now you got 5 globals on the mage, right? You got 2 Mongoose Bites, an Explosive Shot, and 2 Wildfire Bombs, right? However, if you wanted to do the quote-unquote optimal rotation, which would be Explosive Shot, Bomb, and then Mongoose Bite, you couldn't do the Mongoose Bites because they would blink away. So it would look like, you know, Explosive Shot, Bomb, and then you bomb, and then they blink away, and now you have nothing else to press because you can't press Mongoose Bite. So now you're missing out on the Serpent Sting damage that you get from pressing Mongoose Bite and the additional stacks that you get, you know. So this thing alone is the fundamental reason why it's so hard to explain the damage priority, but I think as long as you keep that in mind, everything else is gonna make more sense. Kinda. So if you follow this priority list, your damage is gonna be just fine. And then the same thing if you follow this cooldown priority list, you're gonna be just fine. And then same thing with the tip of the spears, you know, like from that you get from flanking strikes, kill command, and coordinated assault, because you get 2 tip of the spears whenever you press flanking strikes. You get 3 whenever you press coordinated assault, and you get 1 whenever you press kill command, but you get an additional 1 whenever you summon a pet. So you have so many ways of getting tip of the spears that it's kind of hard to talk about. You will, for the most part, just have a lot of them all the time. So going back to my little notepad here, the only spell that you have to press with tip of the spear is flanking strike. And the reason why is because it scales harder of tip of the spears than any other spell. If you see here, it grants an additional 15% damage increase. So the base damage of flanking strike is really, really low, so you need to buff it with tip of the spear for it to do anything, essentially. Same thing with explosive shot. It's a 20% damage increase. So if you can, I would highly recommend, if you don't have a tip of the spear, to do a kill command before pressing explosive shot. Outside of the opener where you have every button up in the entire game, because if you're sitting right here and you want to buff every single ability, for example, if you want to do like a kill command into explosive shot, into a bomb, and then you want to buff every single ability, you just can't. You don't have enough time. So sometimes you just have to cut your losses and just press spells without buffing them by tip of the spear, just to make the rotation more seamless if you have so many buttons to press. But let's say, for example, where maybe you don't have Fury of the Eagle, you don't have Coordinated Assault, you don't have, you know, you very little spells. Here in this scenario, you have very little, right? Here, it's fine to do the kill command and then explosive shot, because you're already so deep into your rotation to the point where you're not gonna, like, it's not gonna mess you up in the future. I hope that makes some sense. I'm really bad at explaining it, but I hope that kind of makes sense. So as long as you just think about like only buffing tip of the spear, I mean only buff with flanking, that's like the mandatory, you have to do it. And then explosive shot is like, it's preferable, but you don't have to. Everything else is just like, they will just be buffed by tip of the spear by themselves, because your rotation inherently gives you so many tip of the spear stacks. And then, you know, here is the tier list where like the bear is the best, the boar is the mid, and then the wyvern is like kind of whatever, who cares. So here we're talking about the cooldown priority. Obviously, Coordinated Assault is your most valuable cooldown. After that, I would put Fury of the Eagle. Now, you will mainly press Fury of the Eagle to get the haste buff that you get from Ruthless Mordor. If you see over here, you will press it, and then you will get a haste buff. Wow. Ta-da! So, pressing it early in your rotation can be beneficial because then you have a lower global cooldown to press all of your other spells so they can go off a little bit faster, which is kind of why you want to press it early-ish. Kind of just on cooldown, I would say. But the only thing is that flanking strikes scales harder with coordinated assault. It's even more than 20%. And the reason why is because flanking strikes hits twice. It's from you and your pet. And because of leads from the front, how this gives you your pet an additional 30% damage increase, it makes the pet portion hit 30% harder on top of the 20%. So in the opener, you will always have the Wyvern, right? You will have the Wyvern, which is a 20% damage increase. So you can do the Wyvern here, and then it's going to be stacking up to a 20% each time your pet does damage. Then you can press Coordinated Assault. So now your flanking strikes will hit so much harder than what it did before, because it's getting 20% damage increase, 20% damage increase, 30% damage increase on the pet portion, and then a 20 additional 15%. So it's 45% damage increase from tip of the spear. All of it, it's like it's a billion damage. So like that's why I put it up higher than Fury of the Eagle, because you kind of want to, like, if you are in a scenario where you can get flanking strikes off when you have all of the if you have the Wyvern and the Coordinated Assault buff, if you have those things up and the tip of the spear, just press this as soon as you can. It's like one of the highest priority spells of all time. So just press flanking. It's really, really good. But if you don't have everything up, it's just like a little bit of a, you know, like a whatever. Like if you don't have Coordinated Assault up, you don't necessarily need to press it over Fury of the Eagle, if that makes any sense. So I'm just gonna quickly do like the rotation without pressing Coordinated Assault or Fury of the Eagle or flanking, just to get like a baseline understanding of like how the spells kind of function with each other. So I'm just gonna like remove them from my bar just to make the rotation way simpler. So, oops daisy. So here the only things that we need to worry about is Wildfire Bomb, Kill Command, Mongoose Bite, Explosive Shot, and Kill Shot. Right? So an opener can look like Explosive Shot, and then you bomb, and then you bomb, and then the reason why you want to over prioritize Explosive Shot over Wildfire Bomb is because of Grenade Juggler, which then has a 25% chance to reset the cooldown of Explosive Shot. Something you also need to pay attention to is that whenever you're Howl of the Pack, whenever you're summoning a pet, you will get 2 tip of the spears, very important, but also you get 10 seconds off your Wildfire Bomb. So just, you always want to try to, if you can, to press a Wildfire Bomb before kill commanding, because if you have 2 charges of kill command, 2 charges of Wildfire Bomb, and then you summon a pet, you will theoretically lose out on the damage from one bomb, because you don't get the cooldown back, essentially, right? So an opener can look like this. Explosive Shot, bomb, bomb, and now we have a 4-set. I haven't even talked about the 4-set, but the 4-set is essentially just like whenever you press Mongoose Bite. Now, whenever you press Wildfire Bomb, you have a chance to make your next Mongoose Bite do a lot more damage. That's kind of it. So then here you can press Kill Command. So now I will get a Wyvern. So I want to bomb first, so I get more value from the Wyvern. So you get the CDR value, then you can bomb again. Explosive Shot came back up. Now you can Mongoose Bite. Then you can Kill Command. Then you can buff it by Bomb. Kill Command again. And now you can Mongoose Bite. Mongoose Bite. Kill Command. Now you get a Boar, so you can try to bomb first. And then you can refresh your Mongoose Bite stacks with the Boar. Now you can press Mongoose Bite. Kill Command. And you can bomb again. I got the Explosive Shot, so you always want to press it as soon as you can. Then I have a 4-set proc, so now you want to buff it with Tip of the Spear. Bada bing, bada boom. Same thing here. I have a bear, but I don't want to press it because I want to get value from the CDR, from the bomb. So then you want to press bomb first, and then you can press Kill Command, and then you can bomb again. And then you can press Mongoose Bite. So that's kind of how the rotation works. So you can see how the more that you do your rotation, the more, like, everything feeds into each other, right? If you press your Kill Command and your Mongoose Bites more often, you will have a higher chance of resetting the Kill Command, which makes it so you can press Kill Command more often, so you will reset the buff even more, so you will summon more pets, which will give you more bomb CDR, which will then give you more explosive shots, So you can press bomb more often, so then you can summon more pets, so you can get more kill commands, you can get more mongoose bites, and then you pressing bomb more often has a higher chance of giving you your 4-set, which makes it so your wildfire bomb has a 15% chance to make it so your mongoose bite does more damage. Then whenever that happens, you get even more CDR on your wildfire bombs, so you can press more wildfire bombs, so then you can press, so everything works together very nicely. So I'm a big fan of the rotation. I think it's kind of cool, I think it's kind of fun. I hope you think so too. So I'm just gonna go and fix my bar up a little bit, and then I'm gonna show you like an actual like burst rotation or like an opener or something like that. Yo. Okay, so that's it about the damage. So the opener that I would recommend, for the most part, kinda looks like this. Now, obviously, this is not how the opener is going to look every single game. I think it's like basically impossible to like predict how the opener is gonna look every single game, but this is just kind of what I wrote, and it makes sense. So, you want to start out with not having a pet. Also, I'm gonna pretend that this is the healer. So, an opener can look like this, where you go into camouflage, and then you summon the pet that you want to have. Then you press Hunter's Mark, so you get the 5% more damage while they're above 80% health, because why not? It's like a free global. Then, after you have done that, let me actually make this. I'll move this over here, just so it's like you can see the target. Actually, maybe this is a good position right here, right? So you want to press as many kill commands as you can. So you will just, this is like free tip of the spears, essentially, right? So you can just press it, and then probably like have a very aggressive positioning where you can walk over close to the healer, something like that. So you just kind of press kill commands as many as you can until you get taken, or until maybe you get a wyvern, and then once you have the wyvern, I would recommend opening. So now you can press kill command one more time, and then you can do explosive shot, then you can do a bomb, and then you can bomb again, and then you can stun the healer. Now here, I would probably recommend just trapping instantly, but there are a lot of globals you can press. This can either be like, you can stun bomb trap, you can stun explosive shot trap, you can stun maybe into a coordinate assault if you're melee range of the kill target. Like if the kill target is like next to the healer, you can do something like, you can stun this guy, and then you can press coordinate assault, and then you can trap, right? Or you can maybe do a kill shot if you happen to get a proc, and blah blah blah. There's so many things you can do, and then trap. And then once you have trapped, then I would recommend doing coordinate assault. This will now give you your wildfire arsenal, which you can just press so your bomb does more damage. But it's also good to press wildfire bomb here, because then the kill command that you will do will be a pet from your half of the pack, which will then give you a bomb back. So if you don't press bomb here, you will lose out on the damage from that resetting, right? So therefore it could be wildfire bomb, and then you kill command to summon the pet. And then after you've done this, you want to press flank strikes as soon as you can. And then now you want to press wildfire bomb. Now here, this I would say either wildfire bomb or fury of the eagle. Both of them are fine to do. I just kind of prefer to press wildfire bomb here, depending on the scenario. But it is really hard to say. I would probably recommend actually pressing fury of the eagle here, just so you can like escape being melee range as soon as possible, because being melee range is one of the worst things you can do on survival. You don't really want to be melee range, especially in the opener, because in the opener is when people press all of their spells, which is going to be really scary. So you want to try to dip as soon as you can. So I'm actually going to replace it and press fury of the eagle. I think this makes more sense. And then after this, probably just like a wildfire bomb, press Asper of the eagle, and then just get out. So in real time, it would look something like this. But then this is the healer. So I'm gonna dismiss the pet, because you don't summon with a pet or spawn with a pet. Go stealth, and then slowly walk up to the healer while pressing kill commands, just for fun. Just a couple. Now you have 3, so you might as well just open, so that you can do explosive shot. You can bomb, stun the healer, maybe one more kill command for fun because you're melee range. Then you can press freezing trap. Then you can do the thing where you're further than 40 yards away. Then you can press coordinate assault. Well, here was bugged because I was in a lamppost, but I would actually okay. And then you do a wildfire bomb, kill command. Oh Oh, this is actually kind of messed it up. Okay, let me just do it again. I was a little bit spaced out with the lamppost, so 1 second. Okay, I'm actually gonna do it in real time without being spaced out this time. So you're gonna start out without a pet, and then you wanna summon the pet while you are in stealth. Then you wanna walk up to the healer if you can, and then press kill commands. Now a hero got taken out earlier, so maybe I wanna get 3. Either 3 or 2, I'd say would be fine. And then you can do a explosive shot, and then you can bomb, and then you can bomb again. Then you can stun the healer. Then you can do maybe 1 more global. Here I got explosive shot, so I can press explosive shot. Then you can trap. And then you can do the coordinate assault from 40 yards, and then you can do 1 bomb into a kill command, into a flanking strikes, into a Fury of the Eagle, and then you want to dip out. So maybe press 1 for a bomb, explosive shot, you can bomb again, you can press kill command here, and then now I can press Aspect of the Eagle, and then just do a couple Monkey Sprites from a distance. The most important thing though by far is that in the opener, you want to get rid of your Fury of the Eagle and your flanking as soon as you can after you press coordinated assault, because in the openers, typically when you're gonna get CC'd, you're gonna die, people are gonna attack you, so like, you want to limit the amount of time that you're spending in melee range in the opener at all cost, especially because if you have already pressed Fury of the Eagle and flanking strike, if you have Eagle up, there is no spell that is melee range, everything is ranged, right? So you have no incentive in being melee range other than like, oh, I want to melee swing them, lol, but like, it doesn't really matter as much. It's just important that you live. So just practice the opener, and then you're gonna be doing a lot of damage. So that's kind of the general gist of everything that I wanted to talk about. There are obviously way more things that I could talk about, like specific things like, oh, when should you save flanking strikes? When should you save Fury of the Eagle? Like, what should I do if I have, let's say, for example, like a Wyvern out, and then now I know that I'm gonna have a, because you know how I talked about earlier, how about the boar-bear combination? How sometimes it's worth it to save your kill command for a scenario like this, where you have a boar ready. In a scenario, it's good to maybe not press your kill command because you want to save it to combine them for a go. So maybe here you can do something like, you can stun the healer, and then you can trap, and then now whenever you press coordinated assault, you will now have a boar and a bear, which are so impactful that now whenever you press kill command, it will be so much damage that it's worth it to save it up, because those 2 pets in combination with each other are just ridiculous in the damage department, right? But that's, in my opinion, too hard and too specific for like a guide, so I think I'm gonna end it there, and I hope you guys got like the general gist of how the pets worked. So if there's anything else specific you guys want me to talk about, you can feel free to ask in the comments, and then I can answer them. Or if you maybe want to have like a matchup specific thing, I was thinking about making a guide talking more about 2s, just playing with random healers in LFG, just so you guys can get like a general idea of like what it is to play with like a random healer that is like 1800 or something like that, you know, because I play with people of all skill ranks. So yeah, just to have like a, you know, how to win, how to carry, what to do, what not to do, etc, etc. So if that's something that you guys want to have, then you can feel free to let me know. Also, I'm sorry that this was a very unscripted video, but I just like to make things unscripted. For me, that's just like more fun, and also whenever I watch YouTube videos, it tend to just be people rambling about stuff. So yeah, I kind of just want to do the content that I enjoy viewing as well. So I hope you guys learned something. I hope you find the guide informal. Not informal, informational. I don't know what word I'm looking for. Anyways, okay, I'm gonna go on that one though. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out. Ciao ciao. Adios. Peace out, and bye bye.